Well, big news in basketball where we lead today. Iowa women's basketball has officially signed Emely Rodriguez. We, over the past couple of weeks, have been monitoring this transfer portal recruitment for Iowa. Obviously, the Hawkeyes have signed Georgia Tech transfer, Miss Chit Chat Wright, already the 5'4" point guard from Georgia Tech that started and played a bunch of basketball for the Yellow Jackets a season ago, but they didn't want to be done. And they were in the mix for one Emely Rodriguez, a UCF transfer portal entrant who is originally from the Dominican Republic, obviously spent her first season in the Big 12 with UCF, where she was a double-figure scorer, Chris, had visited Iowa last week, then visited Indiana, Big Ten fellow Big Ten rival, the following day. And there were reports that Emely Rodriguez was about to be visiting NC State today, tomorrow, sometime this week, until we got the news that nope, you can go ahead and scratch that visit. Emely Rodriguez had signed with the Iowa Hawkeyes. Big time pickup for Jan Jensen, for the staff, Chris. I think somebody that obviously factors straight into the rotation for the Hawkeyes and, dare we say, slots right into the starting lineup. I think there's a good chance of that, but a big time pickup, Chris.
100%. When you look at the very few pieces we lost, although we only lost 4 pieces, Lucy Olson, Cindy Affolter, Ali Guyton, and AJ Ediger, that's still, a lot of points between the 4. So we had to really, look at some big pieces, and not only to get, another guard, but a 6-foot guard, add some more size. We don't have, the biggest bigs. I know Layla Hayes is 6'5", she's coming in. But to get someone of Emely Rodriguez, someone who has 3 years of eligibility remaining, that's someone that you could also build up with a Taylor Stremlow, Tegan Mulaney, Chit Chat Wright, who we just got. We have a lot of young pieces, and it seems like we're building a really nice young core that we could roll for the next couple of years, bearing that everyone stays. So, a big time pickup. I believe, like you said, she will be an instant factor in the rotation. Who knows? She could be a starter. I believe her size and her scoring ability is something that could really help Iowa. And who knows whether we'll see when the season comes, or whether it's starting or on the bench, she's going to be a factor. You could expect that, Josh.
I think a starter for Iowa. I think they went and found a starter. My early starting 5 for Iowa, and they could go obviously a couple of different directions here, Chris, but I think that Addie Deal is the Hawkeyes starting point guard, though Chit Chat Wright could easily be into that starting rotation and no doubt will play starters minutes. At times you say somebody's a starter, and okay, if you're in that rotation and you're in that next wave off the bench and you're getting starters minutes, you might not have that label of starter, but you're a starter in all, effective intents and purposes. But I think the starting 5 for me right now today, Addie Deal at the 1, Kylie Feuerbach at the 2, and your pickup right here, Emely Rodriguez at the 3, Hannah Stolke the 4, Ava Hayden the 5, with a good set of, couple of bench players for you in Taylor McCabe, obviously in Chit Chat Wright, and then the Taylor Strimlows and the Tegan Mulaney's of the world. That's a pretty nice little rotation to work with. Sounds like an NCAA tournament team to me.
100%. If we made it last year, we can make it this year. And, I would believe that I think Chit Chat Wright is going to be the starting point guard. Now that we got her, it does definitely make things a little more complicated. But if you're Jan Jensen and you're the staff, along with the newest addition, who we'll talk about, that's a good problem to have when you got so many talented players that it's hard to, figure out which 5 are going to start because you got so many you can roll with. I do believe Chit Chat. I think Chit Chat will be at the 1 still. I think Eddie Deal will be the other guard. Kylie Feuerbach, I'm assuming she was starting all last year. Why wouldn't she start this year? Hannah Stolke, Ava Hayden right now. If anyone were to move out the starting lineup, I think it would be Chit Chat, and you could insert Emely Rodriguez probably at the 3, I would assume. I think Kylie played a little bit of the 2 last year. But, it's just good problems to have, man, when you got so many talented players. Not to mention that's sounding like Taylor McCabe is coming off the bench. Taylor Stremlow is coming off the bench. Those 2 players can start for you too. Tegan Mulaney, let me not disclude her. good problems to have, man. When you got so much talent, you got so much scoring ability. That's a lot of shooting. That's a lot. You got some defense right there. You got some shooting right there. Some inside presence right there. Man, like that's a blessing, man. And we still got more work to do. I know we got a couple more pieces that were rumored that we're looking at, and possibly we could get. So good problems to have.
Gigantic. A
Yeah.
good close for Jan Jensen and her staff in the transfer portal. It was slow moving for a little while, but now you've certainly upgraded the backcourt and you've supplemented what you've got in the backcourt by bringing in Chit Chat Wright from Georgia Tech, who again is going to be here for an extended period of time, Chris. Same thing here with Emely Rodriguez, players that can grow up and continue to develop in the program, but bring production that's proven production to the rotation, maybe the starting lineup for both Chit Chat Wright and Emely Rodriguez. A little bit more on Rodriguez in case folks out there watching, listening are unfamiliar. Rodriguez in her freshman campaign at UCF averaged 11.9 points per game, 5.3 rebounds per game, 1.4 assists and steals per game. Shot right at 41%, 40.9% if you want to be, specifically specific on the averages there. A 33% three-point shooter and 75% from the free throw line. So what they call in the biz, Chris, a three-level scorer can put it on the deck and drive to the cup, finish through contact, obviously shoots it well from distance. That's not a three-point shooter at 33% that took 5 3-point attempts last season. No, she's a 33% three-point shooter with room to improve there. Solid across the board, a good free throw shooter. This is a big-time pickup, a big-time underclassman pickup for Iowa and Jan Jensen. So I'm fired up about it, man. It's another indication that the Hawkeyes with Jan Jensen, this Iowa women's basketball program, it's here to stay. Fans were waiting on these kinds of additions in the form of Chit Chat Wright and Emely Rodriguez, and you had to be patient, but here you go. Right at the buzzer, Jan Jensen, again, another big-time pickup for the Hawkeyes, and you went out over Indiana and over NC State. NC State's a program in the ACC, Chris, that you look up and on a routine basis is a ranked foe, a team in the ACC you have to account for and think about for the ACC championship. So I go back to what we said, I think on last week's program and maybe the week before. You follow the offer sheet for Emely Rodriguez, and guess what? UConn, South Carolina were a part of her recruitment from her time in Miami. And obviously, when you're getting those types of offers, and now Indiana and NC State were in the mix out of the transfer portal, this is a big-time recruiting victory for the Hawkeyes. And just a sign that, oh, by the way, Addie Deal, 5-star kid coming in, Journey Houston, blue-chip kid coming in, Layla Hayes, blue-chip kid coming in. Now you've got just that little bit extra weaponry to add to the equation.
100%. I think the biggest thing you said is that she's an underclassman. Now, again, she has 3 years left of eligibility, and that is much bigger. We loved the addition of Lucy Olson last year. Like, she was great for us. But the thing that sucked about it was that we only had her for 1 year, and we knew that. Still a blessing, but imagine having a Lucy Olson player for 3. Not calling Emely Rodriguez Lucy Olson, but to have a player of that caliber. Now, when you're getting recruited by UConn and South Carolina, that means you're a big-time player. You definitely got some talent on you. And so to win Emely Rodriguez over those two, and especially Indiana being the Big Ten foe, that's showing that Iowa is one of those programs that could really go out and compete with some of these top schools for some of these recruits. You might not win all of them, but we'll win some. That's exactly what we did. And she's going to be a good impact for the program. Like you said, three-level scorer, and also can rebound a little bit. 5 rebounds a game, a little bit over 5 is good. Now, she's going to improve. She was only a freshman last year. 12-5 in Division I basketball is pretty good. So you can imagine Iowa, with the way we develop our players, how she's going to develop going into next year, and you could expect her to be a key player, maybe a top 3 scorer for sure, maybe even a top 3-2 rebounder. You never know. She could do it all, man. She's a great player. Great pickup, man.
Michael in the chat jumps in. Good evening, Michael. Love my Lady Hawks. Yes, we love those Lady Hawks, no doubt about it. It is kind of fitting in a way that you get the Emely Rodriguez signing news on the same day that Iowa unveils that Sydney Affolter is coming back to the program as a graduate student employee. So congratulations to Sydney Affolter as she begins her coaching journey with the Hawkeyes. And I say it's sort of fitting in a way, Chris, because you turn on the tape for Emely Rodriguez, and dare I say there's some similar traits to what Sydney Affolter brought to the Hawkeyes, her ability to stretch the floor, shoot it, to really go rebound the basketball, which you just mentioned. Emely Rodriguez can really get onto the glass and go get some boards for you. And oh, by the way, can go attack the cup as well. So there's some similar traits that Rodriguez brings to the table. She basically fills that role that Sydney Affolter is vacating for the Hawkeyes over on the wing. But great news for Sydney Affolter, and congratulations, a valued addition, no doubt, to the coaching staff.
100%. And Emily Rodriguez is, dare I say, a big dog, as you know, as our once former member Raina Harden used to say about Sydney Affolter, man. That's a great pickup. I'm not surprised that she went in the coaching field. I believe it was either last offseason or during the season when she was put on I think it was a player's coach's watch list or something of that nature, where you just kind of knew that, she was a leader naturally by example, and coaching was definitely a part of her route. And that's good that, such a well-respected player is not going to be a well-respected coach to come in and be able to still impact the Hawkeye culture, not in the uniform necessarily, but just to be around them, and you can see, there was posts on Instagram, the women's basketball page posted it, every single Iowa women's basketball player in the comments, giving her props. So, another big time get for Jan Jensen, one that we might not have seen coming. We didn't hear about it, but man, like, this probably you can't be not happy with this one. It's the happiest news for sure.
Played with such great passion, tremendous player for the Hawkeyes, and wonderful to have Sydney Affolter on the staff now in this graduate student employee role, which, the phrasing is graduate student employee. Is that the old school graduate assistant? Is that just a different way to give that title? Whatever it is, you're happy to have Sydney Affolter around and a part of the program still to stay with the Iowa Hawkeyes.